Bitches.
All right, we are live.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of DFS Dynasty. Glad to be here. Another good recording. This is episode 2 of this week. I got John over here dancing. And if you haven't checked out our first episode on YouTube, check that one out too, as you should be checking this one out.
Yeah.
So,
and for those of you that can't see me, or if you can see me, this is dancing. I am not double fisting two gentlemen at the same time.
Actually, you did kind of look like a rock star right there, but
that's
another story for another day. So again, everybody, Steve Specfratelli here. Find me on Twitter at SPAC21, SSPAC21, as well as on the ESF Instagram page. As you already know, I'm here with John Chapman at JL_Chapman on Twitter. John is a video machine, loves to dance, as well as the fact that he loves dudes. But anyways, moving on. We talked about this briefly at the start of our last show. This is going to be a DFS focused episode. Looking forward towards week 1, we have some prices out, and the prices are up on DraftKings. FanDuel, as we talked about before, got rid of kickers and added a flex position. So we're going to give you a little bit more of a DFS breakdown. We do have a little bit of housekeeping, as we do in every episode.
You want housekeeping?
Housekeeping. You want me fluff your pillow?
And here's the thing I'll say about our housekeeping. Our housekeeping is usually us giving a bunch of free shit away. Like this. That's usually what we're doing.
Dale special.
Yeah, this is sponsored. This is brought to you by Dale DeMott and Debbie. We are here to bring you new fantasy stuff and good things. So, Steve, what can we win today?
Jesus Lord. I hate you
right now. Waiting on you, Steve. We are live.
ESFU. Oh, those last 2 letters, those are directed towards you. No, ESFU. It's just go get at it. Go check it out. There's a ton of information out there. Amazing team with Eat Sleep Fantasy. These guys put a ton of work in. Content going out all the time. Go out there, get it, utilize it. It's there for you. So on top of that, go on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube to Eat Sleep Fantasy. John and I, this is, again, we talked about this is our second show, and this is the second one we're going live, and we're putting it out there. So go out there and subscribe. Check it out, man. I think this is something that we're really going to start utilizing. You could kind of see the characters behind the mic as we record. So have some fun with it. Also want to talk about our listener league. We have had one person that's already in it. And if you listen to the first episode, we read it. It was epic. It's almost worth reading again, but I'm not going to do it. But it was pretty damn funny. It did warm my heart. I'm glad that we're out there for people and we bring joy to their lives. So anyways, how you get involved with this league, go on iTunes, give us a review, preferably 5-star.
I want 5.
6 if you can give it. I don't know if it'll allow you, but that would be sweet. But anyways, write a review, give us 5-star, screenshot it, email it to dfsanddynasty@gmail.com. So get out there, be crazy, have fun with it. Let us know. Show us how serious you are about being involved with our listener league. DFS memberships, it is available. They are out there.
Money.
Making it rain. Dollar bills, y'all. You guys are going to be walking around with money guns by the end of the season. So we're giving away lineups, $5 a week, or if you choose to, $60 for the season. And we are going through the Super Bowl. So 21 weeks of football for $60, or you spend $5 a week. It's entirely up to you. We're going to be here selling lineups, bringing you guys content, and helping you win money.
And I'll say this, we're trying to kind of hook you. We're doing the whole Breaking Bad kind of marketing plan. We give you just a little taste. You know, you come try it out for a week, you make a little bit of money. That's awesome. And I'll tell you this, you want to stay with us. So even when the fantasy season is over, as far as week 16 of the NFL, man, you get sad, you get lonely, you know, fantasy's done, but keep playing DFS, and there's a lot of money to be made there. A lot of money to be made there.
And we're here for you. We're your friends. We're your DFS support group. So with all that being said, we have a Rudy helmet.
Can I make a statement here?
Oh man,
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Okay, go for it.
You're 5 feet nothing, 100 and nothing, and you got hardly a speck of athletic ability, and you hung in with the best college football team in the land for 2 years. And you're also going to walk out of here with a degree from the University of Notre Dame. In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself. And after what you've gone through, if you ain't done that by now, it ain't going to never happen. Now go on back. Oh,
that's it, fellas. That right there. That word for word that John just read is on that helmet. If you want that helmet, go out on Twitter and find out how you can win that helmet there. And this will be given away. The drawing will be on this coming Tuesday. So while you're doing that and you're going on the ESF website, you're checking out ESFU, all that good stuff, all the fun things that we have for you, check out the Thrive Fantasy link on ESF.com. Click the sign in, deposit $10. You'll get $5 back. Support the show. You get a little bit of money to have some fun with. Check out if you like it. Just go out there and do it. Be a good time. You'll like it. We've played around with it, and we've had some good times, had some good luck. Interesting. A lot. They bring a lot of different things to you. So let's get into this shit, John. You know, this is we sat around with the first episode talking about Dynasty and a shit ton of news that we needed to bring to everybody. This is DFS, baby. DFS all day long. So with week 1 coming around the corner, do you love it or hate it? Talk to me, man.
Week 1 and 2 are probably my most favorite weeks according to DFS. So just DFS wise, and I know you're listening, you're like, why the hell is that? Because it's so unpredictable, all that kind of stuff. That's much more of a gamble. Here is why. There are so many people out there that are trying out DFS for the first time, and you get to play against them. This is so great. Later on in the season, once we get into the heart of the schedule, weeks 5 through kind of 13, everybody understands who the studs are and all that kind of stuff. And there's a whole bunch of people playing DFS that literally just click the people that scored high the previous week. But week 1, you can't do that. So go out there and take advantage of this. Now, you have to adjust your strategy throughout the season, and week 1 is definitely no different. So the way that I play the exact same amount of my bankroll. And once Austin finished buying his mansion up in Michigan, he's a Michigander now. He is going to be on here to share his bankrolling secrets. And I'll tell you this, Austin made me money last year. That guy taught me a handful of things. So we're going to go over
that damn house.
That's right. Yeah. You don't buy a big ass house like that unless you're doing well. So hats off to that guy. So we will be sharing on future episodes bankrolling strategy and how much you should put in play and all that stuff. But for right now, we want to play with our shiny toy, which is the week 1 DFS lineups from DraftKings. And again, my strategy for week 1, I play the same amount of money that I always play as far as my bankroll goes. However, I spread it out much more, because I'm going to play more lineups than usual week 1, just in case if I miss on one of my guys, it's not going to cripple a lot of my lineups. And I play way more one-on-ones in tournaments. I don't throw out, but I spread about half of my 50-50 pool to both sides, because tournaments are better. Because turnips, I don't know if those are good or not, but tournaments are awesome, because that's the thing. There's going to be people making stupid plays, and if you hit big, you can win big. It's absolutely great. And my guarantee is this: one-on-one and multipliers matchups are the best ever week 1. And I play super low dollar amounts and enter in multiples. I play a lot of just one-on-one. So I'm so pumped. I can't believe we are almost there. And we got you. If you're one of those people that haven't played DFS, the people I just talked about taking money away from, guess what?
Because you like to pick on little kids.
Well,
you're such a mean guy, John.
Have you ever watched Rounders?
I have.
I love that movie with Matt Damon. It's so great. And they say some people say it's wrong to take somebody's money, but I say it's wrong to let a sucker keep his money. And if they're going to throw their money out there, we're not cheating. They could go buy our lineups just the same that we use, and we play with the lineups we put up there. So,
right, we're exactly that we are. And if you didn't tune in to our first episode or watched on YouTube, I just want to point out John's amazing necklace. This guy, you want to talk about ingenuity?
It's not a pearl necklace. I don't know if that's what you're hoping for, but it is.
His microphone is his medallion. That's how dedicated this guy is to recording.
You know what's funny is I have 3 mic booms that I have spent money on, and I like this better.
It's a good look for you, man. I like it. So
I'm the Flavor Flav of a fantasy football podcast.
You need more gold. You need more gold teeth. A much better tan.
I think that's the most accurate
glasses
analogy I've ever given for myself. I am the Flavor Flav in both good and bad ways.
Yeah, boy. So anyways, week 1, as you talked about, is the most unpredictable of the whole season, right? So as we always see in week 1, even through preseason, all that, things like injuries happen. If you go back to last season, John, when you're setting your lineups and picking on people, what are some of the most notable injuries that you recall from week 1?
Man, Allen Robinson. And not only was it a terrible injury, he had 1 catch, he caught his only target, and then he blows his ACL, and fucking Blake, damn it, Bortles, piece of garbage. He walks over as Allen Robinson's laying on the ground, and he pats him on the knee he just tore, saying it's going to be okay. Like, oh, that one just...
Let me make sure that your knee's blown out. Oh, yeah, damn. Hey, medic team, he's done. Come get him,
Yeah, that guy, man, he is awful.
Oh, God, so Bortles.
That was kind of the big one.
That Twitter page for Blake Bortles is hilarious, though. There's some funny shit on there.
Yeah, there is. The guy that does that is pretty solid. I will say that. He did a hell of a job. So David Johnson, man, he comes out.
God.
And
that's
gosh, David Johnson. I had him. I traded up, and I had him in 5 of my 6 redraft leagues I played in. And he goes out in the first game, broke his wrist. That was rough, man. That was rough. But yeah, those are kind of the big ones. You could say Danny Woodhead, but he was a smaller, like he wasn't really big time anyway that time.
Yeah, no, he's probably a guy that you're just playing as a flyer depending on matchup and depending how he's playing throughout the season. He's probably somebody you're looking at later on. But, it sucks losing players like that. But as we've talked about before with DFS, you're drafting week to week, right? So, when high caliber players like that go down, it can tend for DFS purposes be a good thing, because now you're introducing new players that have different talents and capabilities. And, some of the things that a guy like a David Johnson brings to the table, that's a lot of targets and receptions. And with the amount of wide receivers that, were not in Arizona outside of Larry Fitzgerald last year, could make Larry Fitzgerald a little more valuable in lineups and probably get him a lot cheaper than most guys.
Right.
So, in circumstances like that, who are some of the guys that you were looking at the most last year?
So last year, again, I love riding.
Didn't you hit big with D.D. Westbrook?
I did. Well, I say I hit big. He was my 3rd wide receiver. And so I had a pretty
He was kind of the separator for you, though, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. And whenever you're in a tournament, you have to find a way for not only everybody on your roster to score, but you have to have everybody outscore their price. And so whenever we talk about price per point, which we'll get into and all that kind of stuff, sorry, points per price or points per dollar, that's where you get into finding the value in overperforming or overachieving your thing. So yeah, my biggest win whenever I pulled in a couple thousand on a tournament play was with DD Westbrook in the lineup. And so that's the thing. You find these guys that are going to help you out. And, you know, I call them my unicorns, my high ceiling, high floor plays. That's I believe in that. I have to have at least 2 unicorns in my lineup every week. So that doesn't matter if it is a tournament play, multiplier, 50-50, one-on-one, doesn't matter. I have to get those guys in there, and the more I can get in there, the better. Those are guys like Larry Fitzgerald. Those are guys like Keenan Allen. Those are guys like Todd Gurley, so on and so forth. And figuring out ways to manipulate the salary cap that you're given to get as many of those in there, that's kind of key. And then after that, we'll get into some more advanced stuff later on. But let's jump in. I want to know this. Let's talk Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, see, I don't have the douchebag game show host voice you have.
It's a skill. It's, you know, I put it on my resume, and douchebag voice announcer is definitely up there. I haven't gotten any calls back.
Taking you to the top.
That's right.
It might be intimidating. Maybe that's why you haven't gotten any calls back.
That's what it is. It's too good. Maybe it is just too good.
It is too good.
I need to back it down. So, right off the bat, Le'Veon Bell is the most expensive player for running backs. He has a price tag of $9,400 for week 1, and he is going against Cleveland. What are your thoughts with him? Would you play him against Cleveland week 1 if he is the most expensive? And I know there's so many qualifiers with if you would play him, but what are your thoughts on him?
So if I remember correctly from last year through the whole Le'Veon Bell saga, is that he came in week 1 and kind of struggled. He was not fully there. Obviously, he missed a lot of time with camp, preseason, all that stuff last year. However, he came out in week 2, and I believe it was against the Browns.
Actually, week 1, back-to-back years at the Browns to open the season.
It was week 1.
Yeah, it was. He had his only single-digit fantasy performance of the year. He had 7.7 PPR points.
Oh, see, I thought it was week 2 against the Browns is where he stepped up his game, but I don't know. For 9,400, you know, there's a few other guys on that list right now that are in camp that are doing things that do have some decent matchups. I don't know. Week 1, for everything that's going on with him right now, I don't know if I would want to spend that kind of money on Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I kind of a tried and true philosophy, I mean, that I try to do. Let's say somebody is the most expensive at their position. They need to be a guaranteed lock with 0 questions, whether that's history against that opponent. Usually I won't do it if they're on the road. I want home plays. They also need to be in one of the top over-unders from Vegas as far as point spread goes. They need to be predicted to be in a high-scoring game. And then you throw into that any injuries or stuff like that. Le'Veon Bell, we've seen this. He sits out all of training camp. He's going to show up 2 days before the game starts. He's not going to be in shape. He is a slow starter. And so I'm staying away. I'm fading. I will not have Le'Veon Bell in any of my lineups at this price. He's $600 more than the next running back. And I just don't think the value is there. Now, next, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was just going to lead into our next guy because it's kind of the same situation, but he's been in camp and he's going to be involved, but he did miss last year. Le'Veon Bell did play all last year, but he's going to be missing camp. This guy missed all last year except for the first half of the game. and then he's going to be in camp. But that's David Johnson at $600 less than Le'Veon Bell. And he's playing against the Redskins. You know, are you taking the same approach with him as you would Le'Veon Bell?
No. And here's a few reasons. David Johnson's in camp. His injury was a wrist injury, which does not affect his working out or being in shape or anything. He is the dude's rock solid. If you've seen any training camp, and they have nobody else. On top of that, Washington's defense gave up the 25th amount of points to the running back. I understand it's a new year, but it's still relative. I think they have 9 starters returning on that defense. So
they didn't do much to change it.
Now, and so I like David Johnson. I don't mind playing David Johnson there, but the guy that stands out to me, and I'm kind of skipping ahead, but I'm a little too excited right now.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook, man.
With no Foster there in San Francisco.
Exactly. Dalvin Cook, his price tag is at $6,200. And so he's about the 10th or 11th down as far as price goes for the running back position. And he's playing San Francisco at home. And San Francisco has Reuben Foster suspended. And now, if you remember, the 49ers had one of the worst run defenses the past 4 years in a row, but they actually became almost elite once Reuben Foster was starting, but he is out. So I love Dalvin Cook, and I have him projected as my highest scoring fantasy running back week 1. So I'm playing that guy. He's going to be in a lot of my lineups.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you here.
Let's do this.
Since we talked about this young man on our last show as one of my Dynasty trade targets, for $100 less. Mind you, everybody, you do not have to spend all of your cat money. But for $100 less, would you start Joe Mixon at $6,100 at Indianapolis?
Yeah, 100%. I love this pick. The Indianapolis defense is trash. It is a road play for Cincinnati, but I wouldn't put them over Cook just because I don't believe in that offensive line near as much. But no, I like Joe Mixon. I would have liked him a little bit more in that kind of 5,700. I think he's a little overpriced, to be honest with you. They have him rated or priced at the number 12, which I think where he is at, he is best case is he returns value. Again, you got to remember you've got Tyler Eifert's back, AJ Green's back. Those guys are going to be getting theirs, and especially in the red zone. If Tyler Eifert can make it out of the first quarter, I think he's going to have a touchdown reception. So, we still don't know quite what the spread's going to look like for, how much Joe Mixon's going to get the ball versus Giovanni Bernard. We know that for Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's the man. That's been proven. We haven't really seen Joe Mixon and Giovanni Bernard play a lot together when they're both healthy. So that's the thing. There's just a couple small question marks there for Mixon. I like it. But I think at best he returns value. I don't think he is a guy that will go above, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I got you, man. I got you. But another week 1 guy that you could look at too, and this is a guy that I'm high on, and a lot of people, whether it's Keeper League or Dynasty, they're trying to sell him. Everybody's saying sell on this guy, and that's Alvin Kamara. And he's at $8,500 against Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay's defense, they're respectable. They're not terrible. They are going to get some pieces back on the line this year.
And they have a whole new, a whole new defensive line. They brought over JPP.
Yep.
You're getting the stud defense McCoy back there. So, yeah, I mean, they brought in Vinny Curry, who's one of my favorite kind of underrated defensive ends from Philly. So their D-line's going to be better, but still, it's not a good
those
defense.
Guys there, though, the rest of that defense is not the greatest. And I don't think those guys are going to hurt Kamara in particular because of the style of play that he brings to that team and the value that he has. Even for $8,500, I mean, that might be a little bit high. But they still don't know who's going to be that Mark Ingram type guy in that backfield. And until they get Ingram back or they feel comfortable with somebody, I have a feeling that offense is going to be pretty pass heavy in the first 4 weeks of the season, more so than they were last year, because they were obviously a more run heavy team last season. And Kamara will slide right into that just fine. In that first episode we talked about with what's going on with Cam Meredith and the type of weapons that they could have this year. I think they're really going to utilize that in the first 4 weeks, and Kamara can be a big part of that.
And Vegas agrees with you. Actually, the largest over-under in week 1 belongs to Tampa Bay, New Orleans. So that's going to be a high-scoring game. And again, if you're new to DFS, always pay attention to the over-unders. Basically, just if you don't know what that is, that's okay. This is the point total of both teams combined and what Vegas is saying they will score together. So 52 points. If they score more than that, then you bet the over. If you think they'll score less, you bet the under, and you can get paid out on that. So I'm not saying to go do that, place the bets. But what I want you to do is pay attention to what Vegas is saying, the teams that are going to be putting up lots of points. And whenever you figure out the highest scoring teams and the lowest projected scoring teams, use that to adjust. Because again, if Vegas is saying these teams aren't going to score points, you need to pay attention to that. Now, week 1 and 2 are very close to the mean. There's not a big gap between the highest and lowest scoring teams. But as the season goes on, that gap grows on both sides because there's still question marks. So that's kind of where that's at. So pay attention to that.
So let me ask you this then, because I mean, I wouldn't be spending this. I would definitely not be putting him out there week 1. But I think it's quite interesting for never playing a snap in the NFL that Saquon Barkley is at 6,700 right now, week 1 against Jacksonville. I would not be doing that.
He won't be in any of my lineups. Again, one, you got Jacksonville, which they did give up some yards rushing, but no, absolutely not. I'm staying away. Guys below him that I would prefer at the same price, but are still well below them. Christian McCaffrey versus Dallas, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, like we talked about. Let's see here. Alex Collins versus Buffalo. Holy cow. Alex Collins versus Buffalo at home is over $1,000 cheaper than Saquon Barkley. Yep, I think I'm good with that one right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Or for another $400 on the flip side of that game, Leonard Fournette against that Giants defense.
Yep. All right. I like the running backs. Let's pick another position. Let's jump to another position and talk a little bit about what's going on there.
So let's look at the quarterback position. Why not?
Number 1 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts.
So looking at Cam Newton against Dallas at $6,900. I like, right, exactly. Especially Cam Newton too.
We're old here at Eat Sleep Fantasy and mature.
But I really like that play. I don't even really know what to expect from Dallas as a whole, other than a shit ton of volume for Ezekiel Elliott. But I do know that defense is not the greatest. I think that's a defense that Cam Newton and that offense can come in week 1 and really settle in against. And yeah, he's 6,900. You have everybody's extremely high on Deshaun Watson. He's going to be coming back from that injury. They're at New England. He's $200 cheaper than that. Kirk Cousins against San Francisco. He's at 6,500. So, there are guys out there that you could take over Cam that would bring some value to your team. But, Cam Newton is one of the best goal line quarterback / running back in the entire NFL. So I think even at that price, he would be a good play week 1.
Yeah, he's just so safe. last year he didn't come out on fire. He was a little bit of a slow starter last year, but you get to play against that Dallas defense, then you just say congratulations, because worst case scenario is he gets you 15 points. But if he feels hot and he gets going, which they got him a lot of new toys, and Greg Olson's back, so why not? I have him projected as my highest scoring quarterback week 1, and so this is one I don't usually pay up at quarterback. I don't usually, but this one I kind of got a star next to it, and if I have a lot of extra money after I finish my roster, man, I wouldn't mind bumping up and paying for the number 2 quarterback as far as price goes for Cam Newton here.
No, and as you should. And another guy that really piques my interest is Andrew Luck right now. Week 1 at home against Cincinnati for 6,100. And Luck's looking good, everybody. He's looking like Andrew Luck. And I don't know. I'm really expecting a good we're talking bounce back season right here, big time. And, for having a lot of the uncertainties of week 1, I mean, again, just talking about a guy like Deshaun Watson coming back from that knee injury, and he's $600 more. Not that New England's defense is the greatest, but
it was the worst last year.
They're really not that much more different than Cincinnati's defense. So, for a few dollars less, you can get probably a better quarterback.
Yeah. And I'll say this. There's a few things that you got to understand. They have knocked down Andrew Luck's price because of the injury and the uncertainty. And you got to take advantage of that, especially in tournament lineups and things like that. You don't react to emotion the way that everybody else does. I understand the fear, and I understand you don't know and there's question marks. That's okay. But they have adjusted the price to fit that fear or unknown. And whenever you knock him even more, what's happening is you're allowing that unknown or that question mark to be played twice. So he's already been adjusted. The price has been adjusted for this uncertainty. Don't let it happen twice. And so if you can find a way to get these guys into your lineup, holy cow. Andrew Luck, I mean, would you be shocked if he has a 25-point game in week 1?
No, not at all. If he comes in 100%, there's zero worry whatsoever. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that at all.
Yeah, the first time to play in 2 years, that's going to be fun, man.
So here's an interesting matchup that I want to point out. And, one of these guys you and I are both very high on, and the other one, we're high on too, because we love the situation that he fell in. And their matchup week 1 is Kirk Cousins and Jimmy G. Now, after seeing, and granted it was later in the season, so Jacksonville defense probably wasn't playing at its peak, but what he did in that matchup. Now, he's on the road at Minnesota, and he's at 5,700. You have Cousins at home against San Francisco at 65. Now, me, as much as I love Garoppolo,
I'm not touching.
I would take Cousins here, even at $6,500.
I'm not touching Garoppolo week 1, man.
No,
I'm not doing it.
No,
that Minnesota
too many unknowns. I mean, that kind of fits into the role of the uncertainties of Andrew Luck, right? We saw a lot of good things out of Garoppolo. He played really well at the end of the year there against Jacksonville, but he's coming in. He's starting fresh. He's the guy, and there's been a lot of eyes on him through this offseason. So we'll find out how he deals with pressure and being on the road in Minnesota. That's entirely too much.
What's crazy about Minnesota is they got better on defense.
I know, right? They got better on offense and defense.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that one, man. I'm not a fan. One sneaky play that I'm going to throw out there, Andy Dalton. Now, I wouldn't
I was
do
looking
this,
at that,
but I'm telling you right now, at Indianapolis, that defense is trash, man. And if Malik Hooker is not back and ready to go by then, which he might not be, I love that. He's one of the best free safeties in the game after 1 year. But if he's not back, that defense is trash. I wouldn't do it, but it is sneaky. So anyway, all right, let's jump over to the – go ahead.
It said Sneaky Pete.
That's right, man. Sliding in the back door. That's my move. All right. Ooh. Let's go for wide receiver position.
Woo. Dude, this is a no-brainer.
No-brainer?
This is an absolute no-brainer to me.
All right, shoot. Go ahead.
Hopkins. I don't care if it's in New England. I don't care if he costs $8,300. If Watson's back, Watson's ready to rock. I mean, we've talked about it before. The only bad, I don't know, I guess it's a whole season, but the only bad stretch DeAndre Hopkins has had was when he played with the great Brock Osweiler. He's been successful, but we saw the DeAndre Hopkins, the guy that we fell in love with immediately when he came into the league with that short amount of time with Watson. And, you know, sometimes chemistry is just right there and then. And I think that's what we saw. As we just talked about a few minutes ago about how bad New England's defense is. They clearly did not get any better, especially in the secondary. If anything, they're hurting more now. Hopkins is a big play in week 1.
Yeah, he's my highest projected wide receiver as far as points go. And Vegas agrees. They're the second highest over-under projection. And last year, whenever he played against New England, he had 7 catches for 76 yards. He didn't get into the end zone, but still a quality performance. I love DeAndre Hopkins coming back. It's at New England, but New England's pass secondary is sketchy. I understand that you got Gilmore, and he's a stud, and he might even shadow Hopkins, but I don't care. His route running and hands, it doesn't matter who shadows him. He is special. So he's my guy there too. Now, I will say this, Michael Thomas, man, again, I was
just looking at him and Keenan Allen.
You want to talk about kind of the worst secondary in the entire NFL? I'm going Tampa Bay. I do understand that I don't want to throw names out there, but they have one solid corner, which I don't want to say his name because I don't want to get in trouble, but his wife will not shut up. And so, like, even though that stud corner is there, not saying anything,
dear Lord, that's funny.
Everybody else is trash. So New Orleans, Michael Thomas, he's super expensive, $7,800. He's the 3rd highest priced wide receiver. But man, I really do think he's a unicorn, man. He is a unicorn that week. He has a super high floor and a super high ceiling. I like it. I might like Michael Thomas more than Hopkins just because I saved $500. I have them very, very close. They're my 1A, 1B this week for week 1 as of now. And so if I could save $500 and, get a better stud somewhere else, and one of those two guys, if not both, will be in my lineups.
And man, I'm looking at a guy right now that, for the price, maybe he doesn't really fall into that value play. But I'm looking at Demaryius Thomas. Week DT. 1 against Seattle for $5,700. Seattle's defense is going to suck this year, dude. They're depleted, especially their secondary. It's just depleted.
Whenever I saw this price, he's marked down. What is he, about 18th wide receiver, 5,700 against Seattle. I was sitting there thinking, like, man, I think there are still people out there that whenever they see the Seattle defense, they get scared. That day is gone.
Yep.
Seattle's defense is highlighted. It needs to be. Maybe not against the running back. They still have an amazing linebacker core that can shut down the run. But as far as secondary quarterbacks and wide receivers and possibly tight ends, these need to be highlighted weeks. Seattle is trash on defense, and there's a great chance this is going to be a very high-scoring shootout type of a game. I love Demaryius Thomas season long and Dynasty and DFS. He's a triple threat right now. So yeah, I like seeing that one there. Do you have? Oh, what about your boy? I was going to let you talk about him, but I'm going to ask you about him anyway.
Oh God,
Jamison Crowder. You talk about this guy every damn day. He's priced way down there, $5,000, super cheap, and he's at Arizona. How do you feel about him?
So the only thing that concerns me about Crowder in Arizona is all of the conversation, and it has been happening so far in camp, of Patrick Peterson roaming around. playing the different positions. And if Jamison Crowder, is going to be viewed as one of the better targets on the team as far as wide receivers go, and if Patrick Peterson is on him, there is a clear size advantage there, and Peterson will run with any wide receiver in the NFL. So, he's price-wise, he's a good value there, and he technically has a good matchup on paper, but there is that X factor there, and the fact that he wants to roam around that field and make plays, that could hurt Jamison Crowder in week 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I will say, the coaching staff and Patrick Peterson said he's not shadowing anymore. We'll see how that goes. It's one of those things they might toss out of the window.
I don't see how they wouldn't have him shadow, but I mean, if you look at a week 1 matchup against Washington as an experimental process with the type of quarterback that Smith is, the fact that there's not a whole lot of receiving threats there. If Jordan Reed is 100%, then, maybe Peterson will be back and forth on Crowder and Reed the whole game. Hard to say, but that's just what I'm looking at.
Oh, I like it. All right, let's jump over. We got one position left that we haven't talked about. You know what we like at Eat Sleep Fantasy? We like tight ends.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
We like tight ends. And I just want to say thank you real quick to the people at DraftKings. There are few things in this world that just seem to go right and make sense and match up and just make you think, that's pretty cool. But they went ahead and gave us a treat. Rob Gronkowski, can you guess what his price is week 1?
I'm going to guess.
Come on.
Come on. Oh, he against Houston, huh?
Come on.
I'm going to guess.
Don't think football. Think with your other head. Come on. I'm
going to guess like 7,300.
6,900.
The greatest number ever.
And 69. That is just, man, I don't care that he's $500 over everybody else. I don't care.
You know what? Week 1, here's my advice to everybody out there. Week 1, everybody you draft, their price should be 6,900. 6,900. Every single player. Yeah, I don't care who it is. Just roll with it.
I like it. And I love Gronk, man.
At least you'll be aroused.
There you go. It kind of does it for it. It moves a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Just a little. Not a lot of room. But anyway, I will say this. Anytime I ever try to fill out my lineup on DFS, especially with tournament, I want at least 2 position players that I have projected as leading the position in points. Not price, but who I project personally and who, because I rank them on how I think their ceilings are going to be. And man, Gronk right here is just to give me. It just seems so easy with him being, he is 500 over Kelsey. I get it, but you don't want to play Kelsey. Do not play Kelsey. Do not play Kelsey. He has the Los Angeles Chargers on the road. Those 2 teams dogfight like hell, and they always have bad weeks against each other. Stay away from that game. Kansas City versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Don't touch anybody there. It's just not worth it. There are other great fantasy options, though, for DFS. Week 1. I love George Kittle. I understand we talk trash against Jimmy Garoppolo and playing against that Minnesota defense. I get it. We did that. But where his price is at and his guaranteed involvement in this offense, and again, he loves the red zone, he's only $3,300. Super, super cheap. You're talking about an almost free play that has a very high percentage chance of getting in the end zone. So I like Kittle. Week 1, I get it's not the best matchup, but for that price, man, it's just like, sometimes you got to go shopping on the clearance rack. You know what I mean?
So speaking of clearance rack, a guy that we talked about in the first episode, now mind you, everybody, this is if he is healthy week 1. Tyler Eifert's only $3,400 against the Colts, and it is clearly proven that Andy Dalton really likes throwing him the football as well as AJ Green. So if Eifert is out there week 1, that's that's one hell of a price to get a guy that's caught 13 touchdowns in the season before, and when he's on the field, he is extremely effective.
Yeah, yeah. So that's gonna do it for us here. We teased you just a couple things, enough to get your DFS week 1 mouth wet a little bit. Maybe something else wet too. I don't know. But so I probably shouldn't have said that. But anyway,
what are you gonna do?
If you haven't already, and for those of you that have already subscribed to the Eat Sleep Fantasy YouTube channel, go do that now. We're gonna try to keep putting more content out here so you can see our ugly mugs. I don't know. Steve's gorgeous. You gorgeous young looking lad there.
Especially with minimal to no hair. You know, it's not bad. It's not terrible.
It's there's nothing there. That's okay.
Dicks dig the bald head, man. So
hey, man, they do. So anyway, if you haven't already, go review us, snapshot it, email it over to DFS and Dynasty at Gmail. Get that championship belt. We have 4 spots left. Steve, any parting words?
So it's a beautiful Friday night. Glad to be on here recording with you, John. Can't wait till our buddy Austin gets back on with us. But
we miss you, Austin.
We're waiting, man. As we've talked about, football season's here. So excited. Can't wait. There's going to be so much information coming your way as we break down more into camp. We get a better feel of these teams and what's going on. And then over the first couple of weeks of the regular season. So, stay here, tune in. Don't forget to go subscribe. We are constantly going to be on here dropping knowledge like it's nobody's business.
Boom. All right. Peace.
Peace.